Welcome to the Trailer Island Podcast. I'm Alex, and as every week, I'm joined by
Steve and Matthew.
A very, I must apologise, a grumpy Matthew.
I'm not grumpy.
This is the second time we've done this episode because I didn't hit record.
Some of the best broadcasting I've ever done.
There are many things that we said in the last 10 minutes that
were gold.
And I wasn't recording. So, yeah. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. It's all right.
You know, technical issues can be a problem.
And we are no strangers to that.
No, we're not. And sometimes the errors are of human nature, like choosing Mortal Engines as a film to review. Mm-hmm. But we were recording when we discussed that. So,
yes, I listen to that just to help me sleep sometimes.
Isn't it nice that we actually didn't get too far in before?
I am glad you realised, because I was sitting here going, all right, let's go.
Get stuck into things. But no, I just completely stuffed that up. So a little story for everyone listening at home. It doesn't always go well, and we're here to own up to our mistakes.
It's probably not the best start to what is meant to be a kind of 3-week event.
That's right. Okay, let's get stuck into it. We are the Trailer Island Podcast, and we compare films and their trailers. Did the film deliver what the trailer promised? But this week, we're doing TV again. Last week, we did a TV episode, thingy-majiggy. This week, we're doing TV, and for the next 3 weeks, we're doing the Marvel extravaganza that is currently completely available on Disney+.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Steve, you're an aficionado
I'm an expert
of the Marvel Universe. Matthew,
I'm a student this week. Yes.
You are the casual observer.
It's funny. I don't know if these shows were ones that I would have necessarily have watched if I mean, you know, you didn't make me watch them. I was glad to watch them, but I don't know if I would have naturally ended up sitting down to watch all three of these that we're going to discuss over the next few weeks. So yeah, definitely this was fun for me. It was an education. It's Marvel have done something different here, which I like. As we were just discussing 10 minutes ago, I feel like this is the complete opposite. All three shows are the complete opposite of what Black Widow was, in the sense that Black Widow was just playing...
Kept to the formula, didn't it?
Yeah, very formulaic, just played it too safe and was very, not to sound too stern, but a bit uninspired. Mm-hmm. These shows, complete opposite. Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to getting into them.
And did it bother you that you can't put a disc in a machine?
You see, okay, if you want me to go down there again, I will.
We do.
So Disney Plus and Disney, the Mouse House, bought 20th Century Fox a little while ago. Mm-hmm. At the time, 20th Century Fox were in the process of remastering their back catalogue into the new format 4K and Blu-ray, making them all look nice and pretty, and then releasing them on physical media. Disney have stopped that process, and they just are now uploading them to Disney Plus, but not releasing them on physical media. Now, the reason this bothers me, not to sound really old, is that I don't want physical media to die, especially not when it comes to 4K, because to get a really good 4K picture, you're looking at something like 20 plus megabytes per second. If you live here in Australia, you'd be very lucky to be getting those internet speeds. I know I'm certainly not at home. So when you stream something in 4K, it's not actually in 4K. It's going to look better off of disc. And I will not be silenced. Because
turn up the crickets, because I think we should actually do an episode on this. Because I have thoughts on this as well. I do.
Well, look, I did a test because I'm that kind of person. I'm also very single, very, very single and alone. But I watched the first half of Prometheus.
It's the worst dating app ever.
I watched Prometheus on Disney Plus, and it looks amazing. But then when I put the disc in, I legitimately think it looked better. There's less color banding. There are no artifacts. The picture looks more solid. This has nothing to do with what we're talking about today. Anyway, okay.
I just want to say he is a solid lay. So if you are...
Thank you, Steve. You're a good wingman.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah. Anyway, look, let's get back on track. Thank you, Alex, for letting me just get that off my chest.
Solid lay.
And because we're stuck on the island, his tan is fantastic.
It is, that's right,
Yeah.
For a ginger, looks great.
Yeah, well, I should have taken my watch off, but other than that, it's pretty consistent.
It's not even on your wrist. So...
Marvel, MCU.
So the wonderful Disney Plus have provided us the ability to stream this, and if you or someone you know works with Disney Plus, we
convince them to start re-releasing movies in physical media.
We run this podcast on nothing, and it would be lovely to get some money from the House of Mouse, but whatever. We enjoy doing the podcast. Steve, would you like to introduce this week's TV
Oh, I'd love
show?
to. It is the Marvel Cinematic Universe's first television show on Disney Plus. We are talking about Wandavision.
Heavenly shades of night are falling. It's twilight time.
Wanda and Vision, aren't we a five-pair?
This is our home now. I want us to fit in.
Oh, this is gonna be a gas!
Where did you two move from? How long have you been married? And why don't you have children yet?
Our story.
I think what my wife means to say is that we moved from...
Moved from where? Married when? Damn it, why?
Oh, Arthur, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
Deep in the dark, darkest will thrill
This is really happening.
like days of old, lighting the spark of love that fills me.
Am I dead?
No. Why would you think that?
Because you are.
Each day I pray for evening just to be.
We are an unusual couple, you know.
Oh, I don't think that was ever in question.
I love that trailer.
Me too.
That's such a good. It's funny because I'm actually kind of glad we got to watch that the second time there, because obviously we weren't recording the first one. But it's a really well cut together trailer. And again, this comes back to me being, and you're going to hear me say this, I think, a lot over the next 3 weeks. I certainly think I did during Black Widow. I was out of the Marvel thing after Endgame. I was happy it was done, that arc had finished. So I wasn't really looking to... I mean, I watched the new Spider-Man. The trailer of that dropped yesterday, and that looks great. But anyway, this trailer made me excited, same as the trailer for Loki when we get to that one, made me excited about Marvel again. I think for someone like me, that's a huge deal.
About probably 2 years, maybe 18 months ago, they announced the slate of programming that's to come for Marvel. And I wasn't super... I was excited, yeah. But when I saw WandaVision was a part of that slate, I'm like, okay, they're about to do something weird. Okay,
It's a little weird, isn't it?
And they only released the title to it, and I was like, this is definitely going to be something that's weird. And then we get this first trailer, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be everything I wanted. This is going to be off. This is not going to be Marvel as usual. Great, fantastic. And I could not be happier with this series.
Yeah.
It doesn't follow the formula very much, does it?
No.
Well, I suppose, the Marvel Universe until the end. I think it sort of slips back into its old ways at the end there, which is okay because it's handled quite well and it's done in universe and it works.
Yeah, I was worried
neatly.
about that. I was worried, they've done all this amazing creative work at the front. It'd be a shame to descend into a Black Widow style fight at the end. This isn't a spoiler at all, but it doesn't do that.
No, we get tastes of it.
We do.
But is it the first... How many episodes are in this? 9?
9, yeah.
And it's maybe the first 5 or 6...
I believe.
That are very, very...
Stylized?
Thank you, Matthew.
That's okay.
In the decades of television. And those first 2 episodes that really go for that 50s, 60s... sitcom style, and they nail it, and I loved it.
My favorite episode, I enjoyed this show immensely, but my favorite one was the first one where it's just a whole sitcom episode.
Yeah.
Because obviously as it goes on, you start getting clues as to what's happening, and you start breaking away from that. But that first episode is just beginning to end. It's just a 1950s 4x3 black and white sitcom and I was like, this is incredible. Much like you, Steve, I thought this is so much more interesting than I thought it would be.
I mean, I love the episode where they sort of do their own take on Malcolm in the Middle.
Yeah.
They skip over like the 90s decade and they go straight into the noughties, and it is this fantastic look at single camera sitcoms, and you're like, all these characters are just giving like a nostalgic feel for...
And then there's they get into a bit more of a Modern Family type thing as well.
Yeah.
But that first episode, when it looks like I Dream of Jeannie and Bewitched, and the aesthetic is nailed, the style is nailed, and that reminded me of being a kid. Not that I was a kid in the 50s and 60s, but those types of shows were shown after school, and you'd go home and you'd watch these shows, and I was just brought back to being a 7-year-old in a lounge room after school watching these shows from decades before, and it just absolutely nailed it.
So how much of the plot are we going to be able to get into?
Yeah,
here?
we should probably put the premise out, shouldn't we?
Well, how long?
It's difficult. It's difficult this one.
How long ago did this come out? It was about a year ago, would you say?
No, it was March.
Was it? Well, what year is it now? It's 2021. This is March 2021.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh.
It's I understand.
April,
We've had
May,
three
June, July,
Marvel
August.
series so far this year.
Okay, it's been about 6 months since it came
Yeah.
out.
Okay.
The world has been busy since March. It's all been a bit strange. So that's sorry, I'm still kind of blown away by that
no,
because they've released a lot in that time, then, haven't they?
They have.
Because next week we're going to talk about Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then following that was their final release of Loki.
And then we got 3 more movies to look at. As
Holy
well.
boy!
You know what wasn't released in that time?
What?
No Time to Die,
That's true.
Oh,
which has been delayed again.
Matthew,
in
we
this
told
country.
you not to talk about Bond. We understand, and you've got your views about it.
Oh dear.
But the day that comes out is the day we can discuss it. Okay.
All right, fine, whatever.
So WandaVision, for some reason, the first episode of WandaVision picks up with Wanda Maximoff of the Avengers, the Scarlet Witch, and the Vision has reappeared for some reason.
Yes, because spoiler alert: if you haven't seen the Marvel films,
It's Infinity War, isn't it?
Infinity War. Vision ain't doing too well in the living department. He done got the gem ripped out of his head.
He did. He
Twice.
Lobotomized.
Yes. So technically in the Marvel universe, he no longer exists, but he's popped up.
He has.
What's
and
he doing?
And that's, I think, I enjoyed the big mystery, which was, okay, not only is this setting weird, there's something going on here,
Yeah.
but it's like, how and why is Vision back? Is this a dream in what's her name? Wanda.
Wanda's, yeah.
I don't know how I got that wrong. In Wanda's head, is this set in the? Is this some? I don't know. Like I enjoyed that mystery, trying to figure out what was going on.
Yeah.
And it like you say, it really nails. It distracts you with all these different styles, which it does absolutely nail, and you kind of just enjoy the ride. I enjoyed the ride.
It sort of tries to distract you with a bit of a love story as well.
Yep.
We got like little hints and bits and pieces in the movies that these two are getting along quite well. But, you know, with this sitcom style, we get a chance for them to actually connect, to bounce off one another. You get to see the relationship develop a lot more as well, which is the bulk of these, like the first 6 episodes, I would say.
Roughly, yeah. And then we slowly get the reveal that something else is going on. We get the more Marvel-esque stuff, which you see in the trailer. You see that there are, black ops teams and helicopters flying around.
Yeah.
You sort of get the idea. Because you know that Wanda Maximoff, she's an incredibly powerful being. Like, it's probably one of the most powerful.
She goes toe-to-toe with Thanos in that movie and almost kills him.
Yeah.
Why doesn't she in the end?
They get the big ship to fire on everyone. Sort of distracts
That would distract.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she gets distracted by that. And so, she's basically, toe-to-toe with Thanos, and then it all sort of hits the fan a bit. And she's sort of cruising into her, she's just hanging out in her own TV land.
Yeah, TV land. Like we would all want to live in TV land, wouldn't we, if we could?
We also get a nice little look at the unsnapping in this.
Oh, we do.
series.
Yes, we do.
We got a glimpse of it in Far From Home, but this one's a little bit more in depth. You get to see the emotional toll this is sort of put on people,
Which is nice. Well, it's not nice, but it's a nice attention to detail.
It is.
Yeah. Soundtrack.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and again, it goes through not only doing the normal Marvel thing when appropriate, but also the different eras. Now, was it one composer, or did they have like a different composer per episode?
There's one composer, a team of 2.
Okay.
I think also a married couple, and they've actually, they composed every sort of sitcom-y.
They were great. Those intros, like like the Malcolm in the Middle spin-off one, I thought was amazing because they have lyrics that are different. But I was like, that is awesome.
Yeah.
I was like, no, you touch me in the child. Wait, that doesn't.
Whoa!
Right. It touched me in the childlike wonder place.
Okay, move along.
This is one of those shows as well that it doesn't really happen for TV shows all that often, but the behind the scenes for this was fantastic.
Yeah, you get a full hour of behind the scenes.
Is there behind the scenes?
Yeah.
I'll have to watch that.
Yeah. There's a whole series of how they made each of these shows. And this is like for those first couple of episodes, they were filming in front of a live TV audience.
Oh, was it an actual?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
I think particularly for episode 1, they had them all dressed up in 50s attire and everything.
Practical effects during those 2 episodes as well.
Yep.
So.
So, you know, all the levitating and stuff
Yeah.
all done with strings and whatnot.
That
and,
was cool.
I think just the attention to detail certainly was on those first few episodes. It got a little bit CGI, a little bit formulaic towards the end.
I definitely. There's nothing wrong with it. Again, like we've seen so much of it. I think I preferred the first half where they were more focused on being different. I don't know that they needed to descend all the way back to standard Marvel at the end.
It was always going to,
but
though.
yeah, I mean that it comes with the territory.
Because once you get an idea, once you know what the story is about, it kind of had to. And what's good about this is that it basically resolves itself.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling that for Wanda Maximoff's character to reappear into the film franchise, you're going to have seen this to understand where she's at when she reappears.
Isn't this set before Endgame?
No.
Is this set afterwards?
This is all afterwards.
Of course, because again, I can't. That's why I'm the student. I really don't. I was saying to Steve earlier, they're about to release What If that series.
They have. There's the first few episodes are out.
I can't watch that.
I saw the first episode. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't have a firm grasp on how the canon is currently to then watch an alternate take on it. I just get confused.
Certainly the first episode you go, oh, okay, that's definitely...
Yeah.
It's got narration. It tells you things that are happening. It's like, but then this happens. But that is the what if.
And it's Jeffrey Wright's voice as well. You love Jeffrey Wright.
I do like Jeffrey Wright because he's going to be in No Time to Die when that eventually gets released.
There it is. I do understand what you're saying about the whole descendant of Marvel thing, but again, it comes down to me being really thirsty for the property because I was like... at the start of this year, I need Marvel. I really need it. I'll take whatever I can get.
So thirsty.
Thirsty for the property.
Get in me.
That's the best thing I've ever heard.
So when we do get into sort of a little bit more Marvel-y, good v bad toward the end, I was right in the element.
Fine.
You know, and it does leave a couple of little threads dangling there.
Oh, yeah.
At the end.
Did it quench your thirst?
No,
did.
this isn't... Now, hang on. Now, this annoys me. Either put an end of credits scene in every episode or don't at all.
Yeah.
And then there's one where there's 2. I'm like, oh, for crying out loud. And those credits are long. So I'm fast forwarding through the credits and go, oh, hang on, there's another... Oh, go back.
Yeah, I did the same
hang on, I
thing.
didn't pause it.
Yeah.
Oh, gone too far. Hang on a sec. Sorry. 1 sec. Just go.
This is a good thing
all right.
about Disney Plus because
watch
they
another.
allow you to skip credits to the scene.
So does physical media.
What?
Yeah.
Do they?
Yep.
What does it say?
So little skip credits button. Little, yeah.
No, I don't think that's true.
I pressed that and it went to the next episode.
My TV does it. So.
Well, excuse me.
So anyway, that annoyed me because some of them, there are 2 scenes in the credits and others there are 1 and others there are none. It's like, do them all or do none of them at all. That's the thing.
How bad was Black Widow?
Yeah, it hasn't not sat well with me.
It hasn't aged well. I think it's,
And I had been thinking about this, and even in contrast to this. And the fact of the matter is, even though this descends into Marvel, it starts off somewhere new. It covers new ground.
Yeah.
And not only it expands the universe as well, where we're getting some new lore placed into the Marvel MCU, which we haven't gotten for about 5 years. Like,
this felt a lot more grounded in the universe rather than something like Black Widow where they're like, oh, by the way, there's a huge conspiracy and infrastructure going on that we just never got to see. And it's like, you couldn't have hidden that. What's happened in this is something within the realms of MCU and Wanda's abilities happens.
yeah.
And you go, you know what, that's cool. And there are huge consequences for this too. And people's views and opinions and perspective on things when you initially get them in the TV show, you go, man, that guy's terrible. And then things sort of twist on themselves a little bit. Like, I mean, it turns out the guy that I'm mentioning that is terrible
The head of
is terrible, but
the head of Sword.
yeah, whatever it is, like perspectives are different on what she actually did. Yeah, he's a terrible character. Actually, there's nothing redeeming about him whatsoever.
I thought the redeeming part about him was
That was such a forced laugh.
it's a new perspective to the blip.
Yes,
We get to sort of see like we saw sort of the effects in Far From Home, but now we're getting a little bit more of an entrenched view in the MCU.
And certainly next week when we talk about Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that is basically what the show is about.
Yeah.
Is people who are not happy with where the world is at.
So that's a nice warm up to that. And it's also, Teyonah Parris's character. I've forgotten what her name is. But
in what?
In WandaVision, she's the woman that gets de-blipped in that fourth episode. It's nice to see the real world ramifications. She's missed out on the death of her mother because she's been snapped away for 5 years, and it's a really good informer for her character throughout the series as well.
Bloody Thanos.
Yeah.
Oh, unbelievable.
He's just getting in the way of everything, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Oh, what a geezer.
Also, really happy to see Kat Dennings back as well. I thought we had seen
Who is that?
She's from the Thor movies.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I haven't seen the Thor movies.
She was the sarcastic female scientist.
She annoyed me.
Well, she's a lot better than she was in the Thor movies.
That's not a good thing.
That is a very good thing because she was very, I would say, probably superfluous in those.
Well, Kat Dennings always kind of plays Kat Dennings.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that, I mean, I don't know that her range is particularly there.
But it was a lot more suited to this role, I feel like.
I think it was great in this.
Yeah. Even though this was a weekly release sort of thing, I was sort of like, I really sort of wish this was a terrestrial TV sort of thing as well. I wish I could have sat down at an 8:30 on every night and sort of watched this ritual.
Gone for the journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're kind of missing that in today's culture, aren't we?
We are a bit. Well, it's funny. I mean, obviously, this would have been released weekly, like you say. I was in a situation where I had to be at home because I was waiting for a COVID test. So I watched this all in one go, which was good. I mean, obviously, that is a marathon. I wouldn't recommend. That can't be good for your health, but I couldn't really do anything else. And
we did notice.
Okay.
The stench.
Wait, what?
You smell like old popcorn.
Anyway, I'm glad that I got, because the mystery's so rich.
Yeah.
It would have been killing me but again, like you say, maybe that's what we're missing in not having to wait a week. I remember when I used to watch Doctor Who when I was a kid, when there was a 2-parter episode, waiting the week to find out what would happen.
Yeah.
And you got really excited about it. So, yeah, maybe
We've kind of lost the concept of a cliffhanger ending now, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, sure, you can still do it, but I mean, if you're late to the party, you don't have to hang around. You get that instant gratification.
No, that's true. Yeah.
Which is, we talked about The Bad Batch last week. I watched that every week.
Yeah.
That was my Friday night ritual.
So boring.
Jeez.
No, I won't get into...
you gave your opinion last week, mate. You're devoid of opportunity here. Poor little guy. Just look at him. Sitting there like he's been told off. Hey, little fella.
I used to like Star Wars.
Well, speaking of which, these 3 TV series seem somewhat quite well planned.
Yeah. No, it's almost like they had something written down.
Yes.
It's like they went, you know what, let's think about what we're going to do for these shows. Let's work out how are they going to relate to all of our previous property with respect to other property that we've got currently out in the market and make sure that it's a coherent story. Unlike Star Wars 7, 8, 9.
I was thinking about this the other day as well.
Uh-oh.
In regards to the perception that that Disney's got control over all of Star Wars, but when it comes to Marvel and Marvel properties, people really look to Kevin Feige for that instead of Disney. And I'm wondering if I think Star Wars needs its own Kevin Feige.
They do.
I don't think Kathleen is.
No, it's not Kathleen.
It's not Kathleen.
No, it's Dave Filoni. They've
Dave-
got and
okay.
and but I will say Dave Filoni has taken control of the TV series
Of course, yes.
and done a fantastic job of it. But I don't think he's ever had any involvement in the films.
He hasn't.
Which is, you know what? If he just sticks to the TV series in Star Wars, I'm happy with that. Just keep my precious sweetness good.
But he's hands on. He's not a. Star Wars needs the figurehead, and
But
Kathleen,
you're correct. You're correct.
Is it Kathleen Turner?
Kennedy.
And I don't think she either needs to be more assertive in what they're doing, or step down from the process altogether. But then
That's a huge claim.
There needs to be a Kevin Feige of the Star Wars universe.
They need to take control.
They need George Lucas back.
Because the running theory is that Kevin Feige is pretty much okay with most of the things that the creators do. There's going to be obviously exceptions to the rule. Edgar Wright is a typical case there.
Explain.
In that Edgar Wright really wanted to make an Edgar Wright Ant-Man film.
Yeah.
At a stage where the MCU was still finding its feet. He was sort of pushed out of the directing job.
Because he does have a style to his
does.
films.
Yeah.
I want to see that film.
But most Marvel, live action creators usually have some level of free reign to the project. And the Russo brothers have been very audible in the fact that they love not knowing what the previous creator has done because it offers new obstacles, new ways to tell story.
There is a risk in that.
It is,
And we
absolutely.
saw that in Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it's like...
Well, the issue there, I should point out, I've been very much holding myself back.
Of course.
But the issue there is that the big criticism is when they made Last Jedi, it was this idea that it abandoned plot elements from Force Awakens. But then at the same time, when they made Rise of Skywalker, they completely abandoned everything that was done in Last Jedi. So they don't build upon each other.
Yeah.
Whereas when the Russo brothers came in and did... What was the first one they did? It was Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier, yeah.
They took into account the character arcs and plot developments of previous movies and built on it and continued it. They didn't go, no, we didn't like that, we want to change it and retcon it. There's a lot of retconning.
They
in Star Wars.
embraced the challenge though.
They did, yeah.
And I don't think there's, other than Dave Filoni and maybe even Jon Favreau, I don't think there's anyone over at Star Wars really embracing the challenge.
There's no sort of overseer that is truly taking control of the project.
And maybe that needs to be a J.J. Abrams, but it needs to be him if it's going to be a single voice or at least a single sort of guiding hand.
Yeah.
They need to choose that.
Bring back George Lucas. Let him take control. Give us your best George Lucas, Matt.
What, impersonations?
Yeah.
Jar Jar's the key to all of this.
It's like poetry.
It rhymes.
Yeah.
That was terrible.
Bit of a deviation.
We have deviated quite significantly here, but you know what? I felt that maybe someone learnt something from this conversation today.
And what do you guys feel about physical media?
I still like physical media. That's yeah.
Okay.
I bought a CD the other day.
Oh, I think I just...
And I thought it was like a
excited.
common something you'd be able to get easily. No, I had to purchase it from the UK.
If it's something I really, really like, I'll buy the physical copy of it.
Okay.
But I'll probably watch it on streaming or in a cinema first.
Yeah.
Occasionally, like, my wife will say, oh, we've got a delivery today and it's another Blu-ray in the mail. I'm like, hey, look at that. That's going to sit on the shelf. But it's nice to have it.
Yeah,
You're right.
same as having a book collection.
When the fall of the internet happens, and it
will.
when global collapse happens and all we're relying on is our pedal power to power our DVD players and TVs, you're going to be able to watch stuff.
And we'll be healthier.
And the people who've gone minimalist and cleaned up their lives and us who have hoarded these shiny discs of information and joy will be able to watch our favourite shows, assuming that they haven't been scratched.
Yes. They only survive as long as you don't scratch them.
Mm-hmm.
And the thirst for content, or what was it? Thirst for...
The property.
Thirst for the property.
Thirst for the property.
I'm going to put that on a T-shirt. Steve.
I'm going to put that on my personalised plate.
People will think you're a realtor.
Shall we wrap up, gentlemen?
That is a very good idea. It's the first time in a while that it's required someone else to make sure that we wrap up.
I just wanted to talk about the series. I thought the TV series sort of discussion on Disney Plus is an interesting one to have at the moment.
I agree.
Especially in contrast to Star Wars, because it's sort of like a chalk and cheese thing with those two properties at the moment.
Yeah.
How bad was Black Widow?
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
Cool. Who would like to go? Oh, hang on. We've got to work it out of 5.
Yeah.
5 what?
Oh, yeah.
Static channel changes. Oh, by the way, this podcast is brought to you by the technology for a Rodecaster, which appears in one of the Wandavision episodes.
Does it?
Yeah, it's a piece of equipment that's sitting on a desk. And it was the end of
Pretending to be something else.
Yeah, pretending to be something else. And it's like a significant end to an episode. We were like, wow. And I was like, that's a Rodecaster on the desk.
God damn.
I've got one of those. I feel like I should be in the movies.
I think we should go out of Roadcasters then, shouldn't we?
I was going to say rabbit ears.
Rabbit ears.
TV antennae.
Yeah.
Just because it's got that staticky feel to the series.
Sure, why not?
Let's do that. I'll
No
go
worries.
first.
Yes, please.
Being the student and having learnt very much just with this TV show as to how one can be pleasantly surprised when one thinks a super empire have run out of ideas, that they pull this out of the hat and just blew my socks off. Like I say, I was not like dreading doing this 3 weeks of Marvel. I just wasn't particularly fussed. But I loved this show. It was just so good, and it made me very excited for the following two. Look, again, it descends a little bit into, for me anyway, repetitive territory at the end, just in the way that the thing is sort of wrapped up. But I mean, that's probably gonna just take off half a point. I'm gonna give this. I'm gonna give it 4.5.
Oh, nice.
I very much enjoyed it. Yeah.
Steve?
I'll give it 5.
Ooh,
Give
tasty.
it 5. Matt, it's key to remember there is about 80 years worth of comic books there, 80 years worth of stories to draw upon.
No.
And if you ever get the chance, sit down and read the Vision comic that this is based off of, because that comic book is particularly nuts.
Yeah.
Compared to the TV series. This had look and feel of all the great sitcoms. It had the soundtrack to go along with it. The making of is just as fascinating. It's wonderful to see where Wanda, where Vision, where Catherine Hahn's character goes. Yeah, I loved re-immersing myself into the Marvel world, and this was the perfect way to do it.
Oh, that's lovely. So what do you give it? You gave it 5.
5.
I'll give it 4.5, like Matthew, like I said. I like that Vision manages to overcome an enemy rather than with his fists.
Yeah.
He uses philosophy.
Yeah.
And does that really well. You guys have said everything that I think that needs to be said. So yeah, 4.5 from me.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
If that's a sneaky little wrap up on all of that, which is
14.
My math's good. Oh, thank you, Steve, for the sneaky little 14 there for Wandavision. The first of 3 episodes that we'll be doing on the Marvel TV universe. And as we said,
strap in.
We were so close.
We're doing so well. It is not the first Marvel TV series to exist, but is certainly the first of the big marquee TV shows from the Marvel universe. And that was...
I think when we talk about Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I'm going to bring up those Netflix series because they need a shout out.
Little shout out?
Little shout out.
Ah, right.
How bad was Black Widow?
Like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and that. Is that all on Netflix, is it?
It's on Disney Plus.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. Why Netflix?
No. Agent Carter, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., ABC. They were done by that.
It's all over the place.
Yeah.
But Disney Plus is bringing them all home.
I don't know about the Netflix series.
Wow, what a wrap on this week's episode of the Trailer Island podcast. You can reach us from wherever you get your podcasts. And make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Make sure you give us a 5-star rating as well so that we can share with your friends and grow our audience and more people and all the joys. You can also send a request. Send us a request on the Facebook page. Search for Trailer Island there. And tell your friends. I've been Alex and I was joined by...
Matthew.
The Stephen Witch.
Yeah, you look good in a cape.
I do.
That moustache looks really nice too.
Thank you.
Good night.
How bad was Black Widow?
This is a Narrative Network podcast.